Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Diane Langlois. And she is from Canada, and I'm so happy that she said yes to our interview today. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. And I'm glad to be here with you.
Wow, I would love to introduce you to the audience first. You are a certified holistic health strategist and wellness educator who specializes in helping women over 40 address inflammatory health challenges. Combining science and natural therapies, you empower women to find the root causes of inflammation and transform their health. You are passionate about bringing joy and creativity into the healing process. You are also a dedicated mother of 6, a grandmother of 11, and committed to living a purposeful life. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Diane Langlois.
Why, thank you.
That's great. I prepared some questions for you. Let's start with the first question. You specialize in helping women over 40 with inflammatory health challenges. What are some common misconceptions about inflammation and how do you address them with your clients?
Misconceptions, where there's a lot of it's because inflammation is such a broad terminology. There's a lot of people that don't really connect inflammation with specific health challenges. So, for example, years and years ago, which started my health journey nearly 30 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. Well, cancer starts with inflamed cells. So that is one thing. And we don't always necessarily associate, inflammation or inflammatory challenges with inflammation with health challenges. So that is one thing that we don't really necessarily make the connection. So what I do is I'll just put my little detective hat on and I'll go digging and trying to figure out what the root cause is and where the inflammation in the body. And also sometimes the inflammation is not necessarily just caused by physical trauma. Sometimes it could be emotional trauma, or it can be something happened even before we were born. There is trauma that happened in the womb, or some things get passed on in our DNA. Not everybody aligns with that thought, but I certainly do. So,
Oh,
and how I
wow.
help my client, like I said, I just put my little detective hat on and I go figure out what's going on.
Oh, I understand. So first you did research and you have your own experiences, and now you help your clients. And I understood something when you said it is sometimes it's rooted when you were in the womb, and it that means it is not separated. It doesn't stop. So you bring your I don't know how you call it, your dispositions or something you in your genes you bring with you, and then you have to you discover it and you take a look and see what it's about, what is it serving you, for
Oh,
example.
that's right. And sometimes we don't even know what the challenge can be because, like I said, it could be some trauma that happened to our mother or our grandmother or somewhere down, up the lines, if you want, up the pipeline. And we don't even know that it's there. So, working these um, working with people, we can figure out, like what's going on. And I don't claim to have all the expertise myself in that field, but I do love collaborating with other people that are experts. So,
Wow, I love what you said about the traumas you bring with you in your genes from your ancestors, so to say, for example, grandparents, and you are not aware of it, and then yeah, you discover, for example, habits that are not serving you, and then you can dissolve it by taking a look. And I take a look at my next question for you. Of course, your approach blends science with natural therapies. Can you share how this combination works and why it's particularly effective for women over 40?
Well, as we become wiser, let's put it this way, to be nice to everybody. It's just we accumulate experiences, and like I consider myself an empath. So sometimes we're not even aware, so we absorb other people's energies. So, and that is one of the things that I do, is I do energy work as well. So trying to clear this energy that we don't need, that is not ours to have or deal with, is also something that, as I said, as we're getting wiser in our age, sometimes we have accumulated over the years things that don't serve us. So clearing that out is always a good thing. So there's science, and like I said, spirituality and emotional, and there's all these, because as human beings, as you know, I'm certain, we are more than just flesh and bone. So there's so many parts of us. So
Oh, I understand. I think the answer lies also in the word holistic. You are, that it's not separated. It's all necessary to understand. So let's say in inflammation is your topic. Then to understand it better, you need all those sciences and disciplines also. You emphasize the importance of joy, laughter, and creativity in the healing process. How do these elements play a role in overcoming health challenges, and how do you incorporate them into your practice?
I find it really, really important. Like when we're thankful, grateful, joyful, it is, it's hard to look at the negative side of things. Like I'll take myself for example. Like when like I mentioned, I was diagnosed with actually stage 4 cancer 30 years ago. So I was sent home with no hope, and they said, sorry, there's nothing that we can do for you. So I had 5 children at the time. They were all under 10 years old. So they were my life, they were my joy. So for me, dying was not an option. So I decided, they were my kids were my reason for living, basically. So by making sure that you have a reason to live, and you have joy in your life, and you have a community, and you have a purpose, and I find it so important to laugh, and to be, like I said, grateful and joyful. And that really, really does help with I mean, everybody's heard of dopamine, and all those feel good chemicals, and those help to heal ourselves, and heal our body, like physically, and also mentally, and in so many ways. And being creative, when we're being creative, and do something that, as inspires us. So it is so important to make sure that we do that, because then we are feeling like, okay, this is, whatever it is that is presented to us, I can get through this. I can really get through this. So laughter and creativity, whether it is art or whatever, really makes us feel grateful and joyful, and creative, and whatever it is. I mean, even sometimes just going for a walk in the forest, or walking on the beach, and that could be, joyful for us, or make us feel joyful. So it is
Yeah.
super important.
Absolutely. You talked about being an empath, and then you get all those feelings. For example, walking bare feet on the beach. It is so joyful to do this. Of course, I love this too, and that you mention it, because we forget. Sometimes we forget the little things in life that makes us happy. Of course, you mentioned your kids. You dedicate your life to your kids, your family, and also I love one sentence. It is, dying was not an option. What a beautiful sentence. You don't give yourself the option to die, to think about it, to even think about it. And this was the solution.
Yes,
Wow.
absolutely. Yeah. And our thoughts are so powerful. Like we live with ourselves every day, obviously. So our we're constantly, our little mind is constantly talking to us. So to make sure that we're kind to ourselves and to be mindful of our thoughts is so important as well. So
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. So inspiring. Of course, I have another question. It is, as a mother of six and grandmother of 11, how do you balance your professional commitments with your family life? And what advice do you have for women striving to find a similar balance?
well, I have to say that, well, my children obviously are because I have grandchildren now, so I don't have children at home anymore, which it's it makes me sad a little bit because I loved having my kids with me. So, but now I have grandchildren, so I do spend a lot of time with them. But balancing is it's a matter of priorities, right? It's whatever, like a lot of people will say, well, I don't have time for this. We make time for what is important to us. So for me, self-care is an non-negotiable. I need to look after myself. I've looked after my children. Well, they were younger and loved it, and I would do it all over again. But I also understand that, I need to look after me if I want to live, for to see my great grandchildren someday. So self-care is absolutely important. It is a daily thing, like taking, making sure that we're breathing and that we're taking some time for ourselves, nourishing our body properly. But also, I have one day that I dedicate for me. So I do whatever I want. And some of these days will be visiting with my children. So it is, like I mentioned, like we have time for what is important to us. And if family is important, then we'll make time for that. So there's no real trick to this or advice, but just making sure that you do what you listen to your inner voice and your gut feeling, and you do what is best, what you feel is really best for you.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I can relate to that. You pointed out it's not complicated to reserve time for yourself in your calendar. It's natural, so to say. And we complicate it, or we think we have to work all day long, of course. And of course, your children are already, how do you call it, moved out already, and they have their own families, and you enjoy spending or investing time with your grandkids. Of course, I love it. And also how you introduced the word self-care, because self-care is so important. And yeah, and we don't have to forget it, of course. I have one last question for you about your goals. Do you set goals for yourself or intentions? And what is one of your goals for the next month or the rest of the year?
I do. I feel that goals are important. Again, it comes back to what I was mentioning earlier, is to have, a purpose. So it could be, you could set small goals. Like right now, I'm running a 10-day sugar-free challenge. So the goal every day is, just to not consume any sugar, or non-natural sugars. So to have small goals every day and bigger goals. I mean, it just, whatever fuels you, again, like, and being creative, or do something, that fuels you, that you love doing every single day, is important. So yes, I do have goals. I have goals, like I love traveling. So one of my goals is to travel more. And as far as business goes, I'm always, I love working with people. So I love helping people. So that is always a goal, that it's always in the back of my mind, is always, how can I help the person I speak with? What is best for them? What is it that I can do for them that will be best for them? So that's always there. But it's
Oh, I understand.
goals are super important.
Goals are important, and also to recognize what is important to you, also what fuels you, and what to let go. For example, you talked about sugar, and to do little challenges that lead to a big goal, to a big picture, so to say. It serves your goal. Thank you so much for sharing. Now is time for your last thought to the audience, please.
My last thought, well, again, I'll come back to self-care. It is important to remember that self-care is important, and also listening to our inner voice, because I think that's one thing that going to school and throughout our life, we're being taught to, what to do, and always depend on someone else outside of us telling us what to do. But a lot of times we forget that it's important to listen to our voice and listen to us, and do what is best for us. And we do know how to do that. We just have forgotten a little bit, because yes, just listen to your voice, listen to yourself, and self-care.
Oh,
I
that's
apologize for the noise.
That's okay. And listen to your inner voice, following your inner voice, and yeah, paying attention as well, not um, um, ignoring it. So important. Thank you so much for our interview. I'm so inspired now, and please reach out to Diane. She's amazing, or to me. I do the connection then, and you can have a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
And see you in the next episode, of course.